Okay, today I want to tie the black and claret bumble. Now, you may have seen my tie-in of the claret bumble. At the time, I had my friends here with me, and we were tying some claret bumbles to my friend's specification. He was going to fish the lochs in Ireland, and the flies were very successful. And he's been and he's back, and he's given me reports, wonderful reports of this fly, which was given to him by a local. It was used by the locals, and it performed very, very well. And the fly, as I say, is the black and claret bumble. Now, personally, I'm more of a river and stream fisherman myself. I don't know too much about loch fishing, but I will pass on information that I've been told, particularly like about this fly and the way it's fished. The information is second-hand because it's given to me by my friends, but it's on very good authority. The fly is a top dropper of, say, a team of 3 or sometimes 4, and the top dropper is the one nearest the rod. Now, these guys who I'm friendly with and who travel around a lot more than me, they fish from a drifting boat, and they cast short, about 5 or 10 metres, and at the end of a slowish retrieve, the rod is lifted high and held, so that the bushy fly, this fly, dances on the wave tops for a few seconds, and that's when a trout often takes it. It's best kept for big wave conditions on those still water lochs and lochs as they're pronounced in Scotland and Ireland, and it's kept for those big wave conditions because it makes a good wake even when the wave is high. Quite honestly, a good breeze is necessary, so I'm told, and a flat calm is viewed with horror. Anyway, I'm going to tie this now, and I'm sure if you decide to fish some of these lochs in Ireland or Scotland, well, I can assure you from some of my visits, mainly to fish rivers, but I've had it confirmed that the warm welcome and the hospitality from the Irish and the Scots is second to none. Okay, here we go. The hook I'm using is a 175, Camazan 175, and I'm going to tie it on a size 8. Now, quite honestly, you can tie it on a smaller hook, a 10 or even a 12, but I'm tying it on an 8 because I think it may come out better on the demonstration. Just sort my silk out here a moment. It's gone round the bobbin. Unless you get your silk coming through in a straight line, if it comes at an angle, there's a chance it'll break. So I've already waxed it, and that's why I've got a bit of loose silk here. And I'm using a bright red silk because this fly has a red head, but I'm going to put some red varnish on the head anyway. Okay, I've started the silk like that, and I put in the tail. The tail is a tippet, the golden pheasant tippet. This particular one has dyed orange, so I think the orange comes out well. I like orange. If I can get one off here, I'll cut it. I'm tying it to the specification that was given to me by the local guy. I've dropped that one, so I'm back to another. Bit fingers and thumbs here today. Just bear with me. Take off the rubbish. and I cut out a section of this beautiful feather. Even when it's not dyed, it's still a lovely feather. Cut out a section like that to tie on as a tail. Now the measurement of the tail, you see the black bar there, not the tip, just inside, that should be at the bend. Can't always do it because it depends on the size of the fly. But one of my friends, Emlyn Williams, he insists on that way, and he'll change the feather if necessary to get the black tip at the end of the bend like that. Very good fly tyer is Emlyn, but I don't necessarily do that. Okay, now the rib. I'm going to use a silver wire rib because this is a Palmer hackle along the body, and I find a wire rib works better with a Palmer hackle. So I'll just get a section off here. This is a silver wire. It's a lovely material. I've only recently come across it. I've used other wire, but not been as nice as this. It's very flexible, and yet it's easy to use. So I'm tying this in, and I tie it in a pretty good length of the body like this. Keep it my side. That's the rib on. So I take the silk back down to the bend, ready to tie in the body. Now the body, something I don't use very much on a body, black ostrich mixed with peacock herl. And this is what gives it its colour. I'm sticking to the specification given to me by my friend who had it from a very, very friendly Irishman, and he said use 2 strands of peacock and 2 strands of ostrich. So I'm going to stick with that, but quite honestly, if it was me, I may well use black wool because I'm a big fan of the wool. There's the 2 strands of peacock, and here are the 2 strands of ostrich. So what I do, I get the tips lined up. The tips are often brittle, so I nip those off. Just like this. I do like the peacock because it gives a lovely sheen, but it's a black and claret fly, and I think the black must come from the dyed ostrich herl. Teeny bit long there, so I'll just nip that off. And I'm going to tie this down. Now I've got 4 strands here then, 2 ostrich and 2 peacock, which I'm going to wind. Now you can put some varnish on if you wish, but I don't think it's really necessary. I'll just move my silk to the front for a moment. I will say this does make a lovely, attractive body. I'm very impressed with it. It's something I've not used before, but it is a very attractive body with the mix like this. It's got the colour and the sheen. I see one of my peacock herls is a little bit short, but I should get to the end. Now, doesn't that make an attractive body? Well, it looks attractive to me anyway. So I'll just secure these, tie them off, like that, and dump the waste. Okay, now that's the body on, and the next item is a claret hackle, and it's a cock hackle which has been dyed claret. It's got a bit of marking in it. It was a Plymouth Rock, and I dyed it, and I like it very much. So I'm going to prepare this hackle to tie in now. I have found it occasionally to be a little bit brittle, but I think it's going to be okay. It's a wet hackle, so I tie it on just like that. Take the stalk back, tie that down, and I'll remove this surplus stalk. By taking the stalk back and tying it down, it shouldn't pull out. Okay, I'm going to wind it. I give a full wind at the head, like that, and then I spiral it down. Now, if you saw me tying the other, just the Claret bumble with my friend, I tried to his specification, and he wanted me to tie the hackles in at the end and wind to the head, and there is nothing wrong with that at all. Now, you see how the wire is secure in this hackle. I give 2 winds there to hold it, straighten these up, and I spiral it back through in open turns, and I waggle it in an attempt not to tie down any of the hackles, like that. And that comes up the front, where I will tie it off. Let's get myself back to it, and I tie it off underneath like that. Don't know too much about this fly myself. I'm going to waggle this, because when you do this, it breaks off tight without leaving a stub, like that. I'll give a couple of winds to doubly secure it. Okay, now then, this is surplus, so I nip that out. And that's the body with the palmer hackle on. Right, now then, we come to the head. There's 2 hackles at the head. There's a black henny cock hackle in there, and finished off with the blue jay. But you can also tie it with dyed guinea fowl at the head, like this one, if you don't have the blue jay. I've got some here, so I'm going to attempt it, but first of all, the black hackle. Now, it's a cock hackle, but it's what we call a henny hackle, so it's got this, it's sort of, I forget what you call it now in there, but it's got this, which absorbs a bit of water. It's sort of a cross between the 2 hackles. So I wind this on, between a cock and a hen. It's a sort of downy mixture in it. Tie that on pretty well like that. Don't need to bend that back and tie down, because I've given it a lot of winds. Nip out the stalk. My silk is at the head, and now I wind it. And I just wind it as a head hackle, like this. You can draw it back, double the hackle, draw it back. I think this hackle is the important one that gives it the floatability and allows the fly to dance on the surface of the water. I'm going to be honest, I like this fly. I don't know much about it. I can't talk from personal experience, but one thing I will say, I'm going to try this on our river for sea trout at night, because I think it's a good fly. I think it'll do that. Okay, I'll just draw these back a bit and tie them down. Now, the head hackle number 2, and it's a blue jay. This is the blue jay feather, and it's a lovely feather, very, very attractive. As I say, if you don't have it, you can use some dyed guinea fowl, and what we do is we strip off one side of it. Bear with me while I do this. Stripped off one side, and I've got that. Only the blue, and I want the blue to show. So I tie it in with the blue, so the blue faces forward. Don't know whether it matters too much, but that's the way I like to do it. So I've got a little waist there that I will tie in. Like that. When I say a waist, I mean I formed a waist, like in there, like a waist where I've drawn things down. I mean tying it in by that waist. Okay, I've got that there. And go in at the angle of the eye and remove the tip, and I'll just wind it. Now, I won't have a lot of winds on it because it's not a very big hackle, but I will wind it as best I can. Hope my fingers are not in the way. It's a little bit fiddly, but it does set off the fly. Get it back well on. I tied it in by the tip because the stalk is quite thick. So when I remove the waist now, I'll be removing a thick part of the stalk. Right, that should do it. Just get things up here like this. It's a small hackle, so you don't get very much out of it. But it's attractive, and I'm told it's essential on this fly, and I will accept that because it's given on good authority. Okay, that's the J hackle on. Now we're going to draw things back to complete the head. One stray fibre there, which I'll get back. Okay. You can see I've got a little step in the front because I've used a thick stalk. When you've got that little step, tie in front and go back when you've built up. If you go straight on, it'll keep, your silk will tend to slip off. So I'm building up the front, ready to complete the head. And I'm hoping my fingers are not in the way. Okay, I'm there. That's it. And that really is the fly. I'm going to finish it off with my usual whip finish. And you can see that this is a lovely bushy fly. And I can visualize this fly dancing as a top dropper along a wave in either Scotland or Ireland. I can visualize it. Okay, there we are. I've done the whip finish. I'm now going to draw it up and remove my needle as I get to the head. That's the fly completed, apart from varnishing the head and ensuring, as always, the eye is clear. While the hackles are drawn back, I'll put on some varnish. Red nail varnish. Don't use it very often, not a massive fan of it, but I'm told the red head on this fly is essential. I've used red silk and I could just use clear varnish, but I'll do it the way that's been recommended. Good advice, sound advice. That's the head varnished. I will go back and varnish it after 24 hours. And as usual, ensure the eye is clear. Like this. Draw it through. I know it's clear. Now, the varnish is still a bit wet. But before it's fished, these hackles will be drawn forward to make it nice and bushy. Now, claret and black seem particularly attractive to brown trouts and rainbows. Witness the success of flies like the claret bumble, the mallard and claret, and the black pennel. And we have both those colours in this fly, so the pedigree is there. Thank you for watching that. I hope you picked up a few tips, especially if you're going to fish those big still waters in Scotland or Ireland, and I wouldn't mind betting on some of the Midland reservoirs in England, Draycote and Grapham. Some of those, I'll bet it's a good fly on there, but I've not had a recommendation. That's only guesswork. Thanks for watching.